All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Between Two Teachers. Today's Friday, January the 14th, and there's a lot of exciting things going on. My name is Consuelo Lara.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, we begin with our land acknowledgement, where we pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people, past and present. And this has been a very busy week in education since we last recorded last Friday. The biggest thing has been Omicron has just surged all over the world. I haven't talked at all about anything that was international in the last several months, but this weekend, yesterday, French students and teachers and staff did basically a nationwide strike to ask for the same things that we're asking for here in the United States, because the issues are the same. They're asking for masks, better masks, because we now know that you need the KN95 masks in order to be really protected. So they wanted masks for staff and for students. They asked for more pay for their substitutes, which is another big thing. They too in France don't have enough subs, so that when folks are sick, they don't have anybody to come in and sub. And they asked for the ability to be able to get equipment, just general PPE. So the asks are very similar. The problems are identical, and it's everywhere. They had the teachers, besides the teachers in France, the teachers in Chicago did a sick out. They were out for 5 days trying to figure out what they needed. I mean, they also have in addition to the other asks, they have ventilation needs in Chicago. They had a lot of issues. Their children are in much older buildings that are not safe for to return and to have healthy air supplies. And it's also incredibly cold there. So you also have, you have all of your heating and your issues around winter in Chicago. Anyway, Chicago teachers did finally come to an agreement with the mayor, who runs their system, Mayor Lightfoot, and they have now returned to school. Another strike was in New York. New York, in this case, it was specifically students who went on strike. And the student strike was teen-led, and it was covered by the New York media, and they wanted the same thing. What they wanted was an option for virtual learning for the families that are not comfortable sending their children back, the students who are not comfortable coming back. And the mayor there had said, he absolutely is going to keep the schools open, but that doesn't mean you can't have virtual learning as an option, right? There is no reason it's one or the other. And that's become, such a confusing issue. It's not like a mandate that you have to go into virtual learning. And anyhow, the new chancellor there, Mr. Banks, is now looking at providing a virtual option, because so many families have opted to stay home.
Yeah. If you just listen to the students seem to know, and they know who's going to come, who's not. I mean, one of our student trustees, he chose not to go in. I mean, people no. And then to hear them say, well, we're not authorized to do this or to do that. We're in a crisis. We're in the middle of, we should be able to do what's right for the students and the staff without thinking, oh, can we do this? I mean, this,
Right, but people think, I mean, this is the idea that the teachers are trying to get away with something. That's,
yeah,
that's the subtext here.
it is.
Oh, yeah, they're lazy and they just all love staying home. No, they don't.
Ugh, I hate it. And then,
And they want to be in school,
yeah,
but they have the same, the folks who are not in a classroom with a big group of folks don't realize what it's like and all the anxiety that comes from being in that entire type of an arrangement. So
Yeah.
it's a universal thing. It is an international universal problem right now, and it's continuing.
yeah. And
It's
it
continuing.
really is about teachers, also about the working conditions at this time. You know, it's not the same. There are certain things that have to be in place
Right.
for teachers to come back safely, and students and the rest of the staff,
Right,
everybody.
for people to feel that they're secure. People don't feel they're secure. That's why they're
No.
staying. So
Yeah.
what you have is, two districts in the Bay Area made some decisions that have been interesting decisions. The first one is Milpitas, and I talked about this last week. Milpitas declared a district-wide quarantine. Well, they were apparently advised over the weekend that they weren't authorized to do that, that only a health department, a county health department can do that. So they had to rescind that decision and they explain how they weren't authorized to do it. But instead, what they did was offer their students independent study.
Mm.
Because the issue is the shortage of staff. This is one of the major issues. You have two issues. You have the issues of the shortage of students, but you can run a school with fewer students. You can't run it if you have fewer staff.
That's right.
Hayward had their meeting, and their superintendent, Mr. Wayne, recommended to the board last Friday night at their emergency meeting that they had take the next week off and do remote learning. And he did that because he said they had 80 classrooms that they could not staff.
Wow.
And that's after everybody had been deployed, after he's in a classroom teaching, there is nobody left. There are no subs left. There's nobody left to teach. So to force him to run a school, and people are running schools by putting kids in multi-purpose rooms and handing them notepads and worksheets.
And all because
And that's what we're left with. It's not like
Yeah.
you have this other option.
yeah, exactly.
And the state took away the idea of doing of actually doing the online school, because they wanted to make sure our schools all open, and somehow they thought that districts are going to, everybody's going to go online and no one will ever, they'll all take advantage. They will take
Yes.
advantage.
Yeah, they're taking advantage. And our county, Contra Costa County, they came out, press release. We encourage people go open schools, keep schools open. I'm on that board. I do not agree with that at all. And in fact, I agree completely with the demands. Actually, our West Contra Costa spoke about at our last meeting, last night, the board meeting. And they include wanting KN95 masks for all students. I've seen over and over reports of the kind of mask makes a difference. There's cloth and surgical, and then N95s are the ones we need.
Right. And actually what you need to do, and what everybody needs, is to be able to have a new one every day.
That's true.
That is what the ask needs to be.
It does.
Let's ask for what we actually need. And so they're going to send you 1 or 2 a week so that you get to keep reusing a mask that's supposed to be in one-time use.
After I come out of the store, I throw that one away because I don't know where, what might be in it, on it,
Well, this is the whole, but so the ask has got to be 5 a week, a daily mask. When you come in, you get a mask, and that should be whether you're a teacher or a student.
Yep, and staff. Mandatory weekly testing for students and staff, I don't think that's, not doable. I think we could do that. Temporary increase in the subpay to surpass the surrounding districts and attract more people to come. That has been needed for so long. Oh, and I might add, and a little extra for a retired teacher also. Subpay, but yeah, they gotta double it, whatever it is. Increased period subbing pay, that too. Oh, my gosh.
These teachers are being asked to do that and, and they don't have any prep time at all. I mean, nobody's had prep
Right.
time.
There's no compensation for that. Let's see, using the temporary MOU with our unions, request the county additional contact tracers to support us. We need that as well. That's how we could narrow it down and be more, know where to go to,
Tell
Different-
people who's in danger. So
Yeah,
families
who's in
know,
danger.
because people don't know.
yeah, we need those. Additional rapid tests for student staff, we need them. Negotiate a remote work MOU for staff who are in close contact and have to isolate or quarantine so that learning can continue from home. That's the thing, we're gonna learn all these new ways of doing this.
Right, and we don't have that now.
We
So
don't have
nothing
it.
is happening. So these children
No.
are getting nothing.
Yeah. There's resistance to doing this. Parent volunteers, that would really be helpful. And what are the new guidelines that they could have for, everything's changing so quickly. It just doesn't feel like the superintendent or the county, they just don't get it. And I really like the questions of, have you been to the school? Have you talked to students?
Yeah, the answer is no. She said it. She said, oh yeah, in the past, sir. Well, you have, not in the last 2 years, you haven't.
Yeah, how about,
No.
yeah, well, this is all happening. But boy, oh boy, that strike issue is sounding better and better to me personally. I'd support that.
Well,
Yes.
the other big thing last night was there was the possibility of that the superintendent said they were just an idea of involuntary reassignment of teachers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And that undermines all the work every teacher's done in her classroom or his classroom.
Oh, my gosh.
And so to say that, well, we're just going to now shuffle everybody around because you're fungible, you're just interchangeable widget parts. That is how we're going to treat you. And that is the only way. That's exactly what we're doing here. That's exactly what we're doing. And that's what that idea shows, that we think of you as a widget and we think of your students as widgets.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. We're counting, we're bean counters here, and we're just moving our beans around.
Yep. So.
And one thing that came out of that meeting last night was that a majority of the board agreed with the idea that idea needs to be off the table.
Yes, they certainly gave clear direction. The majority of the board gave clear direction. Doesn't have to be voted on. It's,
No, that's another whole thing, but
yeah,
yeah.
anyway, but okay, well, that's all I have to share.
well, the only other thing that I was going to mention was that the board meeting in Oakland this week that went till 9 hours and 45 minutes. And at the end of that meeting, which was 2:00, but at 1:45, they voted to relook at closing schools.
Oh, so
So there's that, these issues don't go away. That issue is absolutely back on the table. And so we'll talk more about that. They're going to have another a group that's going to discuss it. And I think they're going to have a rally or an online rally, and it'll be on their next board meeting next Wednesday.
there you go.
So my shout out, I will just give a shout out. My shout out is to certainly the 2 student board members last night. I think all of our board members are extraordinary, or many of them. I have a shout out to Mr. Christian for saying that he's going to become a teacher. I think that's wonderful news. And I have a big shout out to the Milpitas School Board and the Hayward Unified School Board, because they did very brave things.
Yeah.
They took folks that really showed that they were listening to their families. They were not trying to run schools without anybody in them. They understood they couldn't do that. And even though people were saying, we don't know, we don't think you can do this, they did it anyway. So they bravely went forward, and whether they made mistakes or whether it's, whatever it is, their intention was good. And I thought that the two of them as school boards really deserved support and recognition, and certainly a shout out.
Great. Sounds good. That's good. All right.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next time, and we'll see what happens, where we go from here.
Okay. We will.
Between the teachers. Bye-bye.